We are the Meltdown, here to celebrate after House of the Dragon has returned after nearly 2 years off of our television screens, and I want to get right into it. I am Meltdown host Tim Melton. That is my co-host, Mr. John Lunsford. We have a complete panel here with you, including Rockstar, who you know every day they're on the next round, and the lovable boy known as Tyler, who is seeking the Iron Throne and will probably end up on it by the end of this series. That would be my guess. Okay, let's jump right into it.
Imagine wheeling him around like Bran around the office.
Exactly. I want to start with what I think was my least favorite aspect of last night's episode.
That it was only an hour long.
That is true. Season 2, Episode 1, A Son for a Son. My least favorite aspect is the opening credits sequence.
I would agree.
Don't really like it.
I wasn't a fan of it either.
I don't dislike it. It's just not as good as we have seen from Game of Thrones. The original being very, very good. Yeah. And the theme song, I mean, obviously you're still using the theme song, which you got to do.
Right.
But I like the blood flowing through. I mean, I thought it really worked. The original opening, I get what they're going for with kind of the cross stitch or whatever, and I thought the way they played into the blood on the cloth and stuff like that kind of sort of worked, but overall it's hard to get a full sense of what exactly is going on because it's kind of hard to see the intricacies that they're going for
and
here.
The distinct features of the characters that you need to know who they're alluding to. It was actually easier when they were just symbols on a map or symbols on the cogs than they were being stitched. I don't know. I think this is...
I get what they're going for, but it doesn't really work.
It's the most nitpicky criticism I have about the entire episode because overall I loved it. But that would be probably the thing where I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I like this right off the bat. I was so pumped up to hit play, pumped up to hear the static of the HBO thing. I was pumped up to hear the Game of Thrones theme song, and then the stitching just is like, okay. It's hard to make stitching badass. You know what I mean?
Quit your stitching.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, let's get right into it. Season 2, Episode 1 seems to pick up, John, just a few days after the events of the Season 1 finale. What did you think here about No Time Jump, considering this is a series that's had so many of them?
But the time jump's happening with only a week in real time of you needing to remember what happened. That's one thing. With this, with 2 years between seasons, like the hardest part for me with this, at least in Game of Thrones, you had the different houses where the different houses, you knew their last names. So you went Targaryen, Stark, Lannister, etc. But then the first names also kind of followed suit. Like first names were very similar within a house, but then the first names house to house were very different. With all of this being Targaryen, there's so many names that sound so similar that I had to stop and think like, that person's dead, but they were referenced. Okay, that was that person. Okay, this person's referenced. They're alive. That's that person. I had to start trying to think. So when you jump right into it, if you made a time jump and then there's either different actors playing it like they did a lot in the first season, crazy makeup trying to make you look older. If you start adding all of that in there on top of, I got to remember who everybody is after a quick, 2-minute, here's what happened in Season 1 that HBO throws before that, which I watched stuff on YouTube before that, but you kind of have to go off what HBO specifically gives you. I would have been in trouble. So I'm glad they didn't do that. They went right into, okay, her kid's dead. She's mourning. Let's get into the immediate, because that's pretty much the last thing you saw was dragons fight in air.
Right.
And
she gets the news.
She gets the news and it's done.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, you got to have the grieving process. I'm glad they went through that instead of just showing, because she's had plenty to grieve and she's gone through a lot.
Rough 2 weeks.
In the first, season and then into this. Show us that. That's part of what has made her character really great.
She's lost her dad. She's officially lost her best friend. She's officially lost her throne. She's officially lost her son. She's lost a lot here. And she's losing the respect of Daemon a little bit because she's not willing to put all that sad stuff aside and just get to queening.
Yeah, you think Daemon has a little bit of an itchy trigger finger?
A little bit.
Yes.
Yeah, a little bit. And how long do you think it took her to memorize her lines for last night's episode?
We didn't see a lot of Rhaenyra in last night's episode.
We saw the main character,
We saw one line. She basically was the Luke Skywalker of The Force Awakens for last night's episode. However, I don't think we should get used to that because I think that what this was supposed to show was she's sort of missing in action. Daemon has to come up with some sort of plan, as violent as it can possibly be, of course, in true Daemon style, and we'll see what the backlash of that will be in future episodes. But right now, she's trying to assemble an army, and she's trying to figure out what the next line of attack is going to look like. Meanwhile, Team Green is trying to assemble their defenses, ready for some sort of attack. They were not quite ready for what we need to go ahead and jump right into. And I know I'm all out of order with this, but we need to get into blood and cheese because that is the biggest takeaway from the episode, the events that happened in the last 10 minutes of episode 1 of season 2. Tyler, you're a sentimental being when it comes to animals. This is a sequence that probably offended a lot of animal lovers.
Oh, yeah.
And you had blood kicking a dog on the way to murder a child.
Why?
Because I think they want to show
Totally
how
unnecessary.
detestable these individuals
I was
truly
gonna say,
are.
why have a dog on that journey?
I just
Like,
love
you
how
gotta have
we're
the
all
dog.
like, why did you kick that dog?
Why do you have it there?
Yeah, you murdered a kid and cut its head off, but why did you kick that dog? I mean, that's what everybody's reacting to.
Well, at least murdering the kid serves the plot. The dog
There was a
didn't.
point to that, yeah.
This just makes me hope that, like, Ramsay Snow's ancestor shows up and gets those guys.
See, this is exactly why they had him kicking the dog. Everyone's like, why did they have him do that? So that way you would feel like
Heartless.
when there is revenge taken on these two guys, because I have a feeling there will be in some capacity, then it's going to be something that's cathartic for people like Tyler in the audience that are cheering on the burning of their flesh or whatever it may be. In this episode, Queen Helena,
Sure.
I think it's Helena. Names, by the way, you're going to have to give us a little bit of getting back into the swing of things with all
That's
of
what I'm
these
saying. If
different
you made a
names.
time jump and changed the look of these people, I need to know exactly how they looked when you
You
ended.
get
There's
confused with Amon and Aegon?
Exactly.
Aemon, Damon,
Right.
Aegon, and then there's, Jacaerys, Viserys, Lucerys. There's just a million heiresses. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of
There's no Lucerys anymore. We don't have to worry
Well.
about him.
You remember the twin Kingsguard?
Yeah.
That they're Eric and Eric, but spelled with an E and spelled with an A.
Yeah.
So I'm
What is
just
your
telling
prob-
you.
What is your problem with that? It's easy.
I'm just telling you.
Two
it's not
Lannister
gonna be
twins.
easy.
I'm trying to remember which one's which. When there's
There's-
one sitting on the council, and I'm like, wait, which Lannister is that? Yeah, it's hard.
Queen Helena is the only adult present when this attack takes place, as one of the staff ended up running across blood and cheese, but was able to sort of sneak away into the shadows there. But she is in a horrible situation. She has a knife to her throat. She has to point to which one of the two sleeping children is the son. She ends up pointing to the actual son, and they
Which was interesting.
realize it's not a bluff, and they go for the kill, and you hear what's happening.
Foley was awful last night for that scene.
Yes.
A little too much Foley on that.
It was very intense. They decided to sort of leave it up to your imagination, which at times can be more
a lot of that to
riveting than
not
showing
show
it.
you either.
Yeah.
And then she runs into the room where Alicent and Sir Kristen Cole are doing extracurricular activities.
The ageless wonder.
Yes, he does age well.
Kristen is the worst.
I disagree, but I am
Sir
Team
Christian.
Green. You are Team Black. Where do
You're
you guys
Team
stand?
Green?
I'm Team
Tell
Green.
me about it.
Yeah, I'm Team Green.
Ugh.
Tyler.
Come on, Rockstar. Be
I
Team
haven't-
Green with me.
Here's the issue.
You're a free agent?
I am a free agent right now because both sides, both women have been manipulated their entire lives for them. So it's just so hard. Like with Dam, now you can see that Aegon is to a point where he's trying to be nice during the whatever. Everybody's like, my goats are missing and everything. And Otto, Your Grace, we cannot do that. Him just like trying to be like, I want to help out. Then like, okay, I can't do that. And everything he tries to decide, he gets struck down. So you see how his character, he's going to be a menace. He's going to be a guy that.
See, Aegon's not really. He is the kid and he is the king, but I don't look at him as what is Team Green? It's him. No, Team Green is Otto. Team Green is Alicent. Team Green is everybody else. He's the kid that was thrust in this position.
That's
And
what I'm
it's
saying.
like,
So is
hey,
Alicent.
I'll be a benevolent god. And then it's like, no, you're not. Okay, well, you can't like
That's
those
the thing
people
was
at that point.
So was Alicent. She was just a girl where her dad go please the king. Wear a dress your mother wore, and just like she just does what her dad said. She didn't ask for any of this. And I don't think Rhaenyra asked for any of this too. It just happened. Like I want to name you heir, and then all hell breaks loose because everybody's chirping to say what. So it's hard to pick a side when they're both so manipulated.
The only one, though, properly playing the game for Team Green is Otto Hightower.
Oh, he's awful.
He's always 10 steps ahead. He is my favorite character in the entire series so far, and I think he's the most despised by many. However, have you guys seen, is it Laris?
Yeah, the
that's
limper.
just sort of
Yeah.
limping
Hilarious, yeah.
around,
Yeah.
and that's the guy that
Killed
should
his
give
own
everybody
father.
the heebie-jeebies.
Killed his own father.
Killed the staff
Yeah.
of Alicent and said, "I've replaced them all with people that we can now trust." No, you cannot trust Laris.
Well, and that's what I thought when they Blood and Cheese go in to kill, and there's a staff member basically sitting there, like, and it's just like, okay, I'm out of here. I don't want to deal with this. It's like, isn't that one of the people that he would have replaced to be her staff? Like,
or was that one of the ones that was replaced? I don't know.
that's what I'm saying. Like, that should be somebody who's loyal, but instead of like, hey, somebody's coming, it's like, I'm out of here. I don't want to deal with that.
Well, these
So it's
people
like,
are loyal to Laris,
but I would think they'd want to help the cause that he's ultimately trying to help. Alicent
I think he's looking for self-gain.
Well, he is, but he's helping them to ultimately, hey, if I'm on their side, they're going to be on my side, so they can help me out, which is why he killed his dad, which is why he's done what he's done, because he can get a foot show out of it.
He's awful.
But Helena,
Just saying.
how unemotional she was. And like that, I think she actually pointed to her son because in the beginning where she said like, I don't want him to be king, and Aegon's like, oh, he's the heir, he's going to be king. He's the first. His son was like, I don't want him to go through this.
She's miserable.
Just end it now because he's going to go through hell anyway. So and then her to be unemotional with the other kid just running away and seeing Alicent get her groove on.
This is the thing that while I was watching it, I said to myself, I can't wait to talk with Rockstar about this particular subject. There is that scene in front of the small council where Jaehaerys is brought in as the 4-year-old into a very important meeting here. It's bring your kid to work day. And he is there to annoy Master of Coin, Sir Tylan Lannister.
He does a very good job.
Who is at one point, John, encouraged to play boar on the floor and decided not to.
Pretty much,
But he was about to. He was about to do it.
Yeah.
But the Baratheons are confirmed to be in the Stormlands. You have the Lannisters there at Casterly Rock. You have the Hand of the King and Otto with his family in Old Town, all of them bending the knee and pledging their allegiance to Team Green. But I have to ask about these marbles that are sitting there.
Correct.
These giant marbles on the desk. What is the point of those?
Does that mean that I'm present?
I think it does, because I feel like we had those in Game of Thrones, or maybe I'm just remembering
seen it.
wrong, but
I feel like we saw.
that because I feel like we have seen, because there's one,
It was in season 1.
because somebody got killed on one on head
Sir
slam down. on it.
Christian got upset.
Correct.
It does seem like it's a I'm present,
Yeah.
because that's every time basically if it gets taken away, you're not a part of whatever proceedings,
Yeah.
even if you're in the room. That it's like a hey, I'm here. So when the kid pulls it away, it's like, well, hey, symbolically, if you've taken that away from me, then like I'm not here, so I can't be a part of it. So please give me my
And you can
freaking
tell
marble back so I can sit here.
I found it hilarious.
when the kid takes Dave Portnoy's marble, you can see that
They do look very similar.
oh my god, he's Portnoy. One bite, you know the rules. Yeah, that was very like I just thought it was interesting that Aegon thinks it's a game, and it's just like, is he annoying you? No, sir, he's not. We're like, well, then I think he should be. He needs a pony ride, and then Alicent has to say like, come on, we're meeting. We're about to go to war here. He's like, okay, all right, we'll do it later. It's just that kind of stuff. It's just odd chemistry between everybody's so tense. Everybody has a plan to manipulate. That's why I feel bad for both Alicent and Rhaenyra. It's just hard to pick a side because I don't know what the hell Daemon's intentions are. And I hate the return of the white worm. She changes her accent every episode. She talks a little different. Can't stand
Is that
her.
Mrs. Doubtfire at the end?
Oh, I thought I told you, dear. But no, I'm not a fan of the white worm. I hope she didn't come back.
Well, I mean, she's still there, so
She is in prison. She's gonna give for your freedom. I am not one of your daughter. Ugh.
I feel like she should have gone instead of Daemon to King's Landing.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of weird. 'Cause I feel like somebody's going to see Daemon and know.
No, they put a cloak over. You can't see.
that's
We're talking about
Daemon.
Massaria, right?
Yeah, like
Massaria?
she gives the information. And it's like, hey, if she's a traitor, earn your good faith back. You go and do it for me instead of sending
And
me
if
over
they,
there.
if he sent the rat catcher with the other dude, what'd you say, blood and cheese or whatever his name
Yeah.
was, why didn't Daemon go with the rat catcher? If you want to see it done,
Yeah, do it. I mean, you're
it's
sneaking through the dark anyway.
You're the one that
just
wants
go do it.
Yeah, you're the one that wants to go to war and get some action. Go ahead and go.
You're
with
ready to
it.
hop on your dragon and go do
Yeah.
it by yourself anyway.
Kick that dog away and let's go.
Tyler, you're a big fan, obviously, of the original Game of Thrones series. How did it feel for you returning to Winterfell and the North as we get our first glimpse at the wall within House of the Dragon, as this is the first time we've gone back to this very familiar territory. Did you get a sense of nostalgia watching that last night?
I definitely did. Some of my favorite parts of the original Game of Thrones were just everything about House Stark, as well as the whole Night's Watch storyline and Jon Snow going up to the wall. So I'd love to see more of what purpose the wall serves 200 years before the White Walkers come into play.
Yes, this is a series set about 200 years before the events of Game of Thrones, and we're introduced, John, for the first time to a new character here in Season 2, in Kragan Stark, who is, I think, going to be a major player when it's all said and done in this season of television, as he's sort of being recruited to not only remain loyal to Rhaenyra, but also to join the effort and provide troops. And the counter argument is, I have to be prepared because winter is coming, which is the most Stark thing ever that you can say.
Yes.
And I just think that eventually something's going to end up turning the tide to where they join the fight.
I would assume so. It seems like, so in Game of Thrones, you kind of had the Targaryen claim to the throne, but then you had the Starks coming down as well, that they are more aligned than they were in what we know from Game of Thrones, that will eventually be there. But I am very curious as they talk about the wall, and it's like, well, they came with their dragons, and they wouldn't even fly over the wall to even see what's over there, and they couldn't, obviously we are not to the point of Game of Thrones that we know what ends up happening there.
Right.
That I would love to see more about how that ultimately, that wall was built, because he just says, why do you think my family built this wall? It's like, there's something out there. Like, why? Like, I want to see the dragons go close and then not go over the wall. Like, I want to see more of that. I know this is a Targaryen story, not a Stark story, but
Truman Show.
All that did was set up very much what we got from Game of Thrones. I mean, the biggest scene of Game of Thrones to a lot of people is Jon Snow when he got killed and brought back. That happened at the wall. Obviously, the White Walkers, that happened at the wall. They get a dragon over the wall. That's the kind of stuff that we know and we very much remember and liked about Game of Thrones. That there's like little teases of like, well, okay, I need more of that. I don't want to just sit here and hear the Targaryen story. Tell me that story too. And I don't know that we'll ever get that, but maybe we will.
I'd also like to see Princess Rhaenyra go up to the wall and see something that makes her realize that the Song of Ice and Fire is real all along, and makes her have some new motivation for fighting and passing on the secret.
It seems like so far all of that talk from, Viserys passing that down, hey, this is a dream that an old king had, it's just like a tease of like, Game of Thrones. Okay, anyway, back to what we were talking about, that I feel like there needs to be a little more there.
Trickles.
And I know it's not going to happen because it's 200 years in the past, but like there's little trickles of that story in there.
Rockstar, there are some people that are going to consider episode 1 to be sort of boring because it doesn't have a lot of action, doesn't have a lot of dragons, doesn't have a lot of big mass murder scenes. It's just, it's a lot of talking and a lot of planning, a lot of plotting, a lot of politics, a lot of allegiances being put into stone. I found
a lot of Sir Kristen doing things.
That is correct.
Busy man.
He, you know what? He
not at his job.
We can't never again until tomorrow. We can't do this again.
Quite ironic that he asked, okay, we don't have to do this anymore, but can you put my white cloak back on?
Yeah,
it's like, that's kind of defeats the purpose of wearing a white cloak, but we'll get into that another time. I'm not having any sort of allegiance problems. I am still solidly Team Green. But this is a show, this is a series that has proven that the episodes where not a lot happens, tons of stuff happens.
That's the episode I like. For some reason, I like the dialogue. I like the politicking. I'm not the big fan of like the final battle, like once all the action starts. I'm not really... It's weird that I've always been like that. Like, I'm not looking for it. I like the stuff leading up to the battle.
It's the journey, not the destination.
Yeah, that's why people say this is a slow episode. There's a lot of stuff happen, but I do like that. I don't want, like, I need more explosions. I need more dragon on dragon action. I've never craved that or asked for, like, can't wait to see dragon on dragon.
Did you watch this show with subtitles on?
Yes, I always do.
I did as well, and I think it really enhances the experience. You don't
especially
miss
with the names
nearly as much. Did you watch it with subtitles on?
I am not a subtitle guy, but
give it a try.
This is a show that you probably should do it, because I started thinking there, if a name ends in Eris, it's like, wait, so which one was that again? Because there's 500 different people.
Once you start, you will want to do everything you watch in subtitles.
Oh yeah,
everything I watch is in subtitles.
I tried with a Netflix movie a couple weeks ago. I was watching quietly in bed, and I thought, okay, I don't want to turn it up too loud. It's going to be an action movie. I'm gonna turn subtitles on, and I hated it. So I don't know if I'll like it or not, but this is something that...
I don't know if quietly should be the first movie you do.
Normal.
It's like Godzilla.
Normal. Well, no, I mean, it was an action movie with people talking. I just knew there was going to be like gun shooting, so I didn't want to turn it up loud. But like this is one, but that's something that, their names are, Eric and Greg. I don't need to worry about that. But if all these other crazy names, it is something I feel like I should do. But to the point about this episode being a boring episode versus an action episode, like when you think of the end of Game of Thrones, at least maybe it's just me, but when I have conversations with my wife about it, who's a giant fan, or with y'all about it, we never talk about the battle in the dark against the White Walkers. We never talk about the battle in King's Landing when Daenerys went crazy. We talk about everything that led to those points, and then you watched it play out. But you're talking about the boring parts leading up to it. And I feel like even here, this is building towards a war, but like we're going to talk about these episodes because it's like, well, how did all the pieces get in place? It's like, you set up the board and then say, okay, play. And then you hit play and kind of watch it. That this is ultimately what you're going to talk about. And you're going to talk about the quick kill, like the killing at the end of this episode. You're going to talk about that more so than you're going to talk about, 500 people died in a brutal way in some war that they're fighting. It'll be cool to watch, probably, but overall you talk about the boring episodes because that's really what builds the story.
We already know that a season 3 has been greenlit. They announced that going into this season. So how they'll pace out this season will be how it's viewed by so many people and how it's judged by so many people. But I really have loved the way that House of the Dragon, and there's a lot of praise that I can heap on to it, but I love how well it's been paced from episode 1 all the way until now. And I am riveted. It is one of the very few shows where I just am on the edge of my seat the entire time I'm watching it. And it really does take the Game of Thrones formula and doubles down on it. And it doesn't feel like a cheap copy. It doesn't feel like it can't stand on its own 2 feet. It feels very polished. It's getting better and better. The stakes are getting higher, and we're reaching a point here, John, where the temperature is being turned up every single week to where that boiling point is going to hit. And this is the biggest difference, I think, between House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones. We haven't seen a lot of major character deaths. I'm talking about the important big characters. We've seen some that have died naturally, and that leaving the vacancy there on the throne to be fought over. But we haven't seen a lot of high-profile deaths, a lot of side characters getting a moment to have a death sequence. But that's about to start ramping up because eventually there's going to be some runway that's run out of, and they're going to have to start making some tough choices. And I'm wondering, without trying to look ahead at all the source material, how quickly we're going to be getting that.
Well, the only looking ahead I've done is when it's like, hey, this show's pretty good, a couple of episodes into last season, reading a Wikipedia entry on it, and that's kind of it, to get the overall broad strokes. But that could happen over 10 seasons or 1 season, depending on how you want to pace it out. But like last night, not knowing ultimately what was going to happen last night, I started thinking, like, okay, are they actually going to go kill Aemon? Because like that's the one he really wants his head more than anything.
Right.
Are they really going to kill him? Because he's a major character that would be like, boy, Game of Thrones is back. They're killing a major character in the first episode.
It would be.
And it wouldn't have shocked me if they had done that. I like that character. I like that actor. Like I wish that character would be there longer. So I'm glad that wasn't the kill that happened.
So you are kind of Team Green a little bit.
No, I mean, I like Olivia Cook, or whatever her name is, that plays Allison. I like the actress, and you have to be good bad people. I like Lizard that plays Otto. Like,
I'm going to try to pull you to my side. You try to pull me to your side, and we'll see how it goes throughout the season. That's what this season of television is.
I very much like Matt Smith, too, and everybody on
Choose
on
a
Team
side,
Black.
which, by the way, got top billing. When Matt Smith got top billing, I was like, interesting. I mean, I don't think it was that case in the last season, but he got top billing last night.
I almost would think maybe Viserys would have gotten top billing. Patty, I can't remember what his last name is. Like, I don't know who it was, but I'm glad. Like, when they go in, it's like, okay, I know the ultimate goal Daemon wants is for Aemon to die. The son for a son. Well, I'll just take the son out that actually killed the son. But when that didn't happen, I'm like, okay, I'm glad that actor's still there because he is a better piece for the bad guys. For me, the bad guys to be there, but I kept waiting for Game of Thrones to be back in a big way by, hey, we're going to kill a major character in the first episode, and maybe it'll happen next week. I don't know. But I am very curious, okay, when are they going to ramp that up to, we're going to turn full Game of Thrones and take out a ton of major people?
It's going to be Aemon against Aegon. It's going to be a brother-brother thing. Like, and when the hell did Aemon and Sir Christian become drinking buddies? It's just like out of nowhere they have a drinking buddy scene.
Does he know what's going on with his
When is
brother?
Christian actually guarding anything? That's what I want to know.
He's with Alicent.
He's with Alicent or drinking with Aemon?
Yeah.
I think we're going to see some repercussions based on what he was not guarding there at the end of episode 1. which on his watch led to the death of the future king.
It's like what's worse for Helena to go in and see her kid get killed or walk in on Allison and Sir Kristen?
She didn't even process that.
Neither of them.
What's more jarring? She's like, I don't know what's worse right now.
She literally said they killed the boy. What? That's what you're going to say? They killed the boy?
Yeah.
All right, that's just so unemotional. Just no
I was
attachment.
just like who? No, hold on. Kristen, I didn't tell you to stop.
I can't wait for episode 2. Who's everybody's favorite character? For me, it's Otto, which is going to be very much in the minority. Nobody likes Otto. I like Otto. Anybody want to throw out who their favorite character currently is?
I love, what's his name, Laris? When he just
No.
Well, no, because I love the character because he just appears. You can just see like, oh, something's about to go down. And that's another thing I feel bad for Allison. Whenever like, you remember you complained about that dishwasher? Yeah, I killed everybody. It's just like I didn't say it, and so it's like it all goes on her. That's what I feel bad for. But I love when he steals the scene
Littlefinger,
because it's uncomfortable. It's like so tense. Like you can see how pervy he is and everything in that walk. That guy's doing a great job. I'm not a big fan of Damon yet. I still think he's just. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Rhaenyra, the actress that plays her. I love the old first Rhaenyra. Yeah. And did Corlys always have a walking stick?
No, he was pretty beat up after he had an issue on fell off the boat, went overboard, got
His
saved.
campaign in the Stepstones.
Yeah. There's just so many other stories going on. It's hard like, okay, that guy.
Right.
Okay. So that's the other thing.
I just don't feel like there's a storyline where I'm not intrigued every time they go to it. Like even the Valerians and what they're doing in building up their fleet, I'm fascinated by all of that.
I wish we would have gotten more of that, and I'm sure we will.
We will.
Like, I mean, you go full Game of Thrones episodes without even touching certain storylines because there was every house you had to look at. You had to look at King's Landing with the Lannisters. You had to look at the Starks. You had to look at the Targaryens, all that kind of stuff. Mine is Rhaenys. Is that her name? That
Yeah.
That is
the wife.
His wife.
Lord Valerian.
She had the chance to end all this last season before it ever started.
Oh, he told her.
And she didn't take it.
He told her.
That character is very intriguing because it also seems like she should have been the choice back when Viserys was chosen instead. It was the same kind of thing. He didn't want a woman to be in charge, so he chose Viserys, but she's sitting there like, it probably should have been me. The same thing Rhaenyra's feeling, and she's one of those that she is out for blood as much as Daemon is, but she still wants to try to do it the right way, which is why when Daemon came and said, let's just go kill him, she's like, did Rhaenyra say to do that? Well, no, I said to do that. Well, you're not king, so I'm not going to go do it. So she still wants to do it the right way, but if he had said, Rhaenyra said to go do it, she'd have been gone in a heartbeat to go kill every possible person she could. So, like, I like the vengeance, the tempered vengeance aspect of her, plus her son that she thinks is dead,
right,
but went off. She's had to watch kids die.
He's got to come back into the fold, by the way, right? Has to.
I would think so.
At some point.
I would think so. But she's had to watch kids die. She's had a lot of issues too.
And much like Daemon, she lost her chance at the throne when she had as much claim to it as anybody.
So that's the other thing about Team Black, probably why I like that storyline better. I feel like there's so many more legitimate claims to the throne there that I'd almost kind of want to see a civil war within them of like, I mean, she could fight for it. Rhaenyra can fight for it. Daemon can fight for it. There's a ton of people. Nobody on the green side really has as much big a claim as so many people on the black side have, really and truly, outside of how Alicent played it once Viserys died. But that's where it's like there's so much intrigue there. But she, to me, is at the top, even over Daemon and Rhaenyra, in terms of how intrigued I am at her character and how she could grow or go crazy like a Targaryen does or whatever.
And Rocky, one of the things that's brilliant about this season, and I'm going to get to Tyler here with your favorite character currently, but that both sides try to paint the other as being the more despicable, but yet they are both despicable. Team Black and Team Green are both despicable in what they do.
That's why I can't pick a team. It's almost like they're both greedy, they're both manipulative, and it's just everybody wants this Iron Throne. You got Aegon who has fun in front of windows in his younger days. That's why it's so hard. That's why it's so intriguing. It's like you love to hate these people, and like who do I hate less? And it's interesting that you're picking the lesser of two evils, and the lesser of two evils who's deserving of a throne. So, and for me to never get into Game of Thrones, it's fascinating, the politicking that goes, but it's also disgusting.
It is, and I think we are ready to buckle up and get to the rest of this season. Tyler, who is your current favorite character on House of the Dragon?
Ooh, I think I got to go with Princess Rhaenyra.
Okay, so you're going with the same pick as John, basically.
No, I'm
sorry.
He went with Rhaenys.
Rhaenys.
Yeah.
They don't sound like at all.
That's where we get into the issues with the names there. No, I got you. So you're going Rhaenyra, and you are solidly Team Black.
I think everything is showing us, including this, since we got a little Winterfell Stark in there, The Stark should have always been in charge. The Stark should have been in charge of Game of Thrones. The Stark should have been in charge from day one until now.
The Starks
they are the clear choice to be really and truly be in charge of everything.
The Starks are the Scott Forster of Game of Thrones. I mean, they just basically they come in, they get the job done.
Yeah.
They don't want to
No
politic,
drama.
no drama.
Yeah. That's why they should be in charge. Everything would be much better. We wouldn't have as good a show if that was the case, but all the Seven Kingdoms would be a lot better if they were in charge.
There we go. Scott Forster for the Iron Throne. That's what we took away from this episode. We have so much more to jump into as we continue week by week to react to each and every Game of Thrones episode. Not only is Game of Thrones back, it feels like Sunday nights are back, and that is appointment television, as HBO has made that a legendary position there to put all of their greatest drama series. If you want a little drama in your life, you want a little bit of electricity soaring through your veins.
Yeah.
You want to be the scorpion to the dragon that's flying overhead and
Weird, but okay.
hit your shot.
Yeah.
And you need to go to our title sponsor, John. That's MyBookie.
Go to mybookie.ag. Promo code next round. See it right there in the bottom corner. Promo code next round. Get that first deposit bonus on us. Bet in the sportsbook. Play in the casino. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. mybookie.ag.
One last thing. Aegon's not nearly as bad as Joffrey, right? I mean, not nearly as bad.
So there were a couple of times I've wondered, like, okay, is he gonna get there? But he's not. Joffrey, I know, was in control. Cersei was in control of him, but like Aegon, when he did the whole, we'll give you your sheep back. We'll get you your money in advance. Joffrey never would have done that. Joffrey would have said, no, I'm going to kill you instead, and just moved on. So no, he's not as bad as Joffrey. Nobody's going to be as bad as Joffrey.
Okay. We'll see how Aegon ends up.
I mean, who knows? We'll see. But right now,
he
he's
has
not even
the
close.
chance. We'll see. All right, that's going to do it for our review of Season 2, Episode 1 of House of the Dragon, A Son for a Son. What did you think? We'd love to know in the comment section below as we'll continue this review series with you all season long right here on The Meltdown.